If you gave me a choice today, I would take 10 multifamily community inspection opportunities over 100 single family residential leads. Not because I don't value residential work, not because single family can't be profitable. I would take 10 because of what I can turn those 10 into. And when you understand how multifamily actually moves, you would want the same thing. And in multifamily, the inspection isn't the opportunity, the inspection is the doorway into the portfolio. And a portfolio is a completely different game than even an entire neighborhood. But if you've been chasing volume inside of single family, this might be the structural advantage that you really haven't considered yet. So, the mindset shift that I really want to talk about is in single family, you're usually building your business lead by lead, job by job. But in multifamily, you can build it relationship by relationship, what leads into portfolio by portfolio. Now, that difference sounds small when you say it really quickly, but in real life, it completely changes everything about your sales effort. It changes everything about your operations. It changes everything about how you go through confidently pricing things. It goes through like how you change the long term stability within your business. This isn't about being better. This is about choosing a lane where the structure of the market itself can work for you instead of you constantly working for the market. So let's talk about what happens with 10 inspections and what does that actually represent. A single family lead is typically a one-time event. It might turn into a roof, it might not, but even when it does, it usually starts over the next morning that you finish that project with the next opportunity. But a multifamily community inspection, it sits inside of a longer timeline. It's rarely just, do we buy a roof today? And it's more of, how do we manage the risk? How do we budget? How do we look at the impact of the residents in the community? How do we, look at the asset value across multiple buildings over time? So when you show up for those 10 inspections, you're not only looking at 10 roofs, you're stepping into 10 chances to really demonstrate how you think and how you're able to differentiate yourself from everybody else within the space. So whether you're showing that you can clearly document conditions, whether you're showing that you can communicate and provide calm with consistency, whether you're able to show them that you can protect them from any sort of surprises, those are portfolio behaviors. And portfolio behaviors, they get remembered by those property managers because, most contractors that I talk to, they already work really, really hard. They're already doing a really, really good job. And the reason multifamily feels hard is not because contractors, they're not capable. It's because the decision-making environment is completely different. In single family, the homeowner is usually the buyer, but in multifamily, the buyer sometimes is the property manager, but the approval process could be the regional. It just depends on the project. The budget might be controlled by the asset manager. The owner might not even be in the room at all. But the dynamic of this that most people don't see is that these folks often manage multiple communities. They aren't just trying to solve a leak, they're trying to standardize the outcome across their entire portfolio. They want fewer vendor headaches, they want predictable reporting, they want someone who understands their internal communications. And when you align with that, you stop being just a roofer bidding a project and you start becoming a vendor that reduces the friction within that ecosystem. It's a very different seat at the table. This is the first positioning moment that can really change the math. And inside of multifamily, your product, your service, your solution, it's not just the roof. Your product is the process. And if your process makes their life easier, you're no longer competing on pricing alone. You're competing on certainty. The contractor who wins is often the one who makes decisions feel safer for the people who have to defend those decisions internally. So let me address the word that matters the most in this theme of what we're talking about, and that's infiltration. And not in a sneaky way, but in a strategic way, like a bow hunter, right? That portfolio infiltration happens when you earn trust at the community level and then you reinforce it at the corporate level. It means that you show up sharp at one property and you document what you see, what you don't see. And then afterwards, you don't just disappear and just send the proposal. You set those expectations, you follow through, and then you repeat that performance over and over and over again. And once that property manager feels safe with you, something begins to happen behind the scenes. Your name becomes the easy answer when another community has an issue. Your reporting format becomes the standard that they forward to their boss. Your communication style becomes what they prefer. And slowly, without forcing it, you become part of how that portfolio operates. I want to look at something from a second positioning moment, because in single family, you can be great, but still invisible. In multifamily, you could be steady, but become the default. The bar is not always the flashiest, the bar is the most reliable under pressure. And if you could be the contractor who brings clarity when everyone else is bringing noise, you're positioned for that repeat work that's not tied to that daily lead flow. I want to try to get practical if I can. 10 inspections can lead to repairs. Repairs can lead to maintenance, can lead to planning. Maintenance planning can lead to phased capital projects, and capital projects can lead to multi-year forecasting conversations. And forecasting conversations can put you into proximity of those corporate decision makers. To me, that's leverage. It's not the initial inspection that's the fee for you. It's not the first repair. The leverage is being in the room when they're mapping out the next 12 to 36 months. Contractors who do not see this tend to treat multifamily just like residential projects, but just much, much bigger. They run the exact same playbook, they chase the exact same kind of close, and they get frustrated when the timeline doesn't match what they feel should be closing. They feel like they're losing. They're not losing at all. They're just using the wrong measuring stick. Let's talk about the third positioning moment, because in multifamily, the goal is not to win a job. The goal is to earn a seat inside of the system. And once you're inside the system, the work begins to show up much differently. It shows up as planned work. It shows up with fewer surprises. It shows up as those relationships begin to compound. So if you're growth minded and you're not in multifamily, you're not growing at scale yet, you might want to consider how you're building towards that. You're not abandoning what's currently working. You're just adding a second engine to the business, and you can keep doing single family that feeds the business today while you plant the flags inside of the portfolio world that can stabilize the business for tomorrow. And you don't need to be a multifamily company overnight. I just think that you should start thinking like a portfolio partner. And that starts with how you inspect, and it starts with how you write it. It starts with how you communicate. It starts with how you carry yourself when there isn't necessarily an immediate sale to be had today. Because in this space, consistency is the signal, calm is a signal, clarity is a signal. I'll leave you with this: 100 single family leads can keep you busy. 10 multifamily inspection opportunities can change how your business gets fed for life. Not because multifamily is magic, but just because of the structure. It rewards trust, it rewards repeatability, it rewards systems. And if you've been grinding for any sort of amount of time, you've been grinding for that volume, and you're looking and you're ready for more stability, it might be worth asking a different type of question. Instead of, how do I just get more opportunities? You could start saying, like, what kind of client relationship could reduce the dependence on cold leads? What if that question lands And then multifamily might not be, that immediate answer for you, but it could be a new market that you start looking into. It might be a new way to build the business that holds up against those tough times, even when lead flow gets super noisy. Think about it, guys. Hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you soon. Take care.